Today I want to talk to you about 3 things that are very important for your online profiles and a strategy that allows everyone to see where you're coming from, like your background, and where do you want to go, like basically what is it that you want to do. And these are having a good linking or cross-linking strategy for your profiles, having a consistent messaging, and using your unique background or your unique strengths to kind of like solidify your story of who you are and where you want to go. And I want to start by telling a story about something that happened to me. I was trying to help the wife of a coworker, and she was kind of like struggling in the workplace. She was not feeling happy about what she was doing. Several years working for this big institution, and so this coworker friend of mine, he said, "Hey, can you chat with my wife and see what's going on? What perhaps something that can help her out?" And I agreed to it, and we started talking about what were the things that she was doing, and there were a couple of things that were worth highlighting from that moment. First is that, well, she was very frustrated, not very happy, not very motivated. And I asked her, well, what is it that you're doing? And she was doing a little bit of maintenance with different environments and trying to set up environments for scientists to do very important work. And I asked her, well, are you happy? Well, she was obviously not happy. And then she said, well, this is not what I want to do. So I asked her, well, what is it that you want to do? Like, where would you see yourself happy? And she said, well, anything automation, it sounds great to me. I'm more of like a DevOps person, doing some code and some automation. That sounds great. So that was kind of like interesting to me, because I thought she was already doing that, but her position didn't reflect that. And next thing, we opened up her LinkedIn profile, so to take a look at where she was at. And she didn't have anything related to automation or DevOps or anything related to software skills in her LinkedIn profile. And I said, well, this is a problem. You need to display who you are and not necessarily what your title is. And she said, well, I thought I had to get permission, or that had to correlate to my current job. It's like, well, yeah, your job history, perhaps, probably so. You're not lying here, but who you are. And I said, it seems that you are an automation specialist. And so she changed her title or her headline just below her username in LinkedIn, and to say automation specialist. And a few weeks later, she was already having some interaction with recruiters that were looking for someone to fill a position like that. And several months later, she eventually found a place where she was happy and felt useful. So this is kind of like a little bit of the things that I want to talk to you about today, how to get there. And we will use my personal profile in several different places that I have them, and how they might work better together. And we'll construct a new profile somewhere so that we can see how to do these. There's several tools that I'm going to use. All are freely available, and it's pretty easy. It's just having these 3 things, cross-linking everywhere, having a consistent story, and using your uniqueness, your unique background, your unique strength to make everything come together. Let's see how we can achieve that with my profiles. Okay, so let's start by the place that I use the least amount in these days. This is Twitter, my Twitter profile. So it says Alfredo Deza. I have my profile picture over here. I want to show you a couple of things. First is that who I am. Well, I'm a Python developer, O'Reilly author, Vim plugin author, Olympian, runner, former high jumper. So I'm using a little bit of like my past software engineering background, things that I'm currently doing with O'Reilly as an author, someone that writes books for O'Reilly. I've been a former Olympian athlete. I used to run a lot. I ran a marathon once. and I'm a former high jumper. And that's a little bit of what it is. And I link here my personal website. So let's click on these. So it loads, and my personal website is pretty simple. It's alfredodeza.com. Nothing to it. You don't necessarily need to have something like these. But we're starting to see the first part of an online presence that I want to talk to you about, which is cross-linking to everywhere. Here we're landing on my personal website, and in my case I am linking back to Twitter. Now this is outdated and I should make some updates here to make it better, but you're starting to see how from Twitter you can come here, and from here I can go back. So if I click on this one, on this link over here, it takes me back to my Twitter profile. So this is perfect because it doesn't matter where a visitor is coming to your online presence, like it might be your website or it might be your Twitter profile. They can reach you from anywhere to anywhere. So if they're coming from your website to Twitter, they can do that from here. But if they're coming the other way around, if they're landing on Twitter and it's like, oh, let's take a look at what this dude is doing. Oh, here he has a link to his personal website. Let's take a look at that. So now that's a good strategy because you're covering all of the possible problems or gaps when someone is trying to reach you or find more about who you are. So if I didn't have this alfredodeza.com link over here, that would mean that if someone wants to find a little bit more about myself, then they might have to search again. And when someone has to do extra steps, well, that's not going to work very well. All right, so let's go from the least used to things that I use a little bit more these days. So I definitely use GitHub a lot. So this is my GitHub profile, and let's take a look at my tagline or my headline here: author, technologist, Olympian, former pro athlete. So the messaging is somewhat consistent. I'm saying I'm an author. Let's take a look at what Twitter said over here: Python developer, O'Reilly author, Olympian runner, and former high jumper. And here on Twitter, on GitHub, I'm sorry, it says author, technologist, Olympian, and former pro athlete. So you're starting to see some consistency. Now, this is very useful because now you're able to see that because of my messaging is so consistent and things are kind of like tied together, someone can have like a clear message of like who I am. Now, GitHub recently has done some changes to make this a little bit better, and we'll see those in a second. Before we get to that, before we make some changes using my personal profile over here, I want to show you my LinkedIn profile. But my LinkedIn profile has my view that myself as a user of LinkedIn can actually see, and the view that is public. So I'm going to switch browsers so you can see what I see, what you would see if you're looking at my profile. So this is my LinkedIn profile, and this is how it looks. So my profile, my picture over here, and I have an about section here. I'm passionate about robust implementations, thoroughly documented, tested. I'm talking about successful online courses, advocating for cloud, machine learning, engineering best practices. I'm a best-selling author, and my main objective is to keep learning to spread the knowledge around. So there's a bunch of different things. I've written some articles, written some books. There's a bunch of different activity that I've done, but there is something that is not quite consistent here. When I switched jobs and started working at Microsoft, my LinkedIn profile updated my headline over here, and that's not very good, and I want to change it. So let me change that, and to do that, let me go back to my other browser, because although my official title is Senior Content Engineer, that is not what I want LinkedIn to show when I have some presence in the social in this social network. Let me see. So I'm going to go back here to my other browser. I'm going to open my personal profile. I'm going to edit these. I'm going to click here, first name, last name, that's fine. And my headline does not need to be my title. That is why you see headline and current position. You can see that in this case, both are the same. They don't need to be the same. You can put here who you are, what do you do, or where you want to go next. If I felt that I am a highly proficient software engineer, this will be perfectly fine. It is who I am. Yes, my current position might be senior content engineer at Microsoft, but if I feel like I am a highly proficient software engineer, then I should put that there because it advertises to everyone who I am and where do I want to go. Now, I don't really consider myself any longer a highly proficient software engineer. I don't think if I've ever felt that, but we can use a little bit of an example of the other profiles. Again, consistent messaging and throughout your personal online presence. So let's go back to GitHub. And it says author, technologist, Olympian, former pro athlete. So I like a little bit of that. And let's reuse a little bit of that. So I am a author, Olympian, and what else? Former pro athlete, technologist. Ooh, technologist. Technologist. And we can say author, Olympian, and technologist, helping others learn hard. How about hard concepts? I'm spreading the word around because I'm a cloud advocate. I'm producing some content. All right, so I like that. I'm gonna click save. Yeah, I don't want to update my secondary language. I'm gonna click here. So now my headline says author, Olympian, and technologies helping others learn hard concepts. So now when I appear everywhere else, I will show some of these, which I really like. But let's go back to GitHub. And in GitHub, there's recently a new thing that you can do so that anyone that lands on your personal profile on GitHub, so in this case, github.com/alfredodeza, that means that instead of seeing my popular repositories and my contributions throughout the year, they will see some other stuff. And you can personalize this and make it a personal landing page for your profile. So I've created a repository that you can use. I'm going to click here, repositories, and I've created one like that says profile, and it has a couple of things. First, it has a README, and then it has a GitHub /workflows. So what this is, basically, if you name this GitHub repository the same as your username, then you can actually make this your landing page. So I'll show you a little bit of how this looks. It's very simple. A template for a GitHub profile. My name is X, and I'm in a position Y. When I was years old, decided to take on the world, and years later, I managed to land my dream job at Acme Corp. I have published some things. I'm active on other social media like LinkedIn, and you can find my personal website interesting. And then I have some YouTube videos. So there's a little bit of automation because this information is not static. If I'm publishing new videos, this will get published automatically. So we'll see how we can do that as well. So this is the sample or the template that I've created. And what I am going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this repository and push it to a repo that will be called the same as myself here. So let's do that. and see how my landing page on GitHub, which is this one, will change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down. I think it's repositories here. I'm going to go to repositories. I'm going to click X out of LinkedIn, and I'm going to create a new repository. So the way you do this, you would have a repository name that is the same as your username. So in my case, I want to do Alfredo Deza. Oh, so I found a secret. Alfredo Deza is a special repository you can use to add a readme.md to your GitHub profile. Make sure it's public and initialize it with a readme to get started. Personal profile. I'm going to make it public, and I am going to add a readme. That's fine. And this will create a branch for me, and I'm going to create this repository. So hi there, automatically populated. That's pretty neat. So now if I go to my profile over here and I reload this, look at that. Now this is the contents of my README file from my repository. So let's take a few steps to make this a little bit better. We have the template here, and this is my profile. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to look at it raw. And we're going to do a couple of things. First, I'm going to copy all of these. This is just the raw content. I should make it a little bit bigger. There we go. And now I'm going to go to my terminal so you can see this in action. Actually, before I do that, I need to go to my Alfredo Deza repo. I'm going to get the code. I'm going to clone it, and I'm going to work from there. Let's see, iterm, there we go, git clone. So I'm going to go to my repository. It only has the README file that says hi there. And it tells me a little bit about why is it special. And I'm going to do a couple of things. First, I'm going to copy the stuff that I already pre-wrote. I'm going to select and copy that. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to say, yes, hi there. And I'm going to copy paste. My name is name. So my name is Alfredo Deza, and I'm a cloud advocate. When I was 11 years old, I said to take on the world. To take on the world, that's fairly optimistic. And 15 years later, I managed to go to the Olympic Games in Athens. There we go. I've published a few things. Let's leave that open for now. I'm active on other social media like LinkedIn, so let's update these. This is Alfredo Deza. And now we're using one of the things that I told you about, cross-linking. Now my GitHub profile is just going to take you to LinkedIn, and if you go to LinkedIn, you should be able to find me back here. I'm also going to use my personal website, which currently goes to example.com to alfredodeza.com, and you can reach me out to alfredo@deza.p. There we go. And so YouTube videos. Here, what we're going to do is we're going to leave this empty. And we're going to do a couple of things. My YouTube channel subscribers. So my channel has this special key in here that starts with uppercase U and ends with undercase W. And that means that it will automatically populate. It uses this very cool service from shields.io. If you've never used it before, you can go to shields.io and see what all of that is about. If you just copy paste these and you have a YouTube channel and update this to use your particular key, then this will work perfectly and it will tell you exactly how many subscribers you have. Now, by adding these couple of lines here, basically YouTube videos list start and YouTube videos list end, we will create some automation so that every time I'm publishing a video, you will see this, how it updates. It's a cool feature, I like it, and I want to do it today. You don't need to do this. Like if I write that and say git status, git add readme, and git commit update readme with personal facts, and I'm going to create a GitHub workflow. So I do that by creating a subdirectory called .github/workflows, and in there we are going to create a YAML file. So we're going to create a YAML file. We have a templated YAML file that I'm going to use from this profile thing here. So I'm going to click there. I'm going to go to .github/workflows. There's a YouTube videos.yaml file. And I'm going to copy all of these. I'll tell you what this means over in the terminal. So if I go here and I say, I'm going to paste these just straight out. Let's go line by line. So we're going to start at the top, YouTube videos on schedule. That means every day at noon, this is going to run automatically. Workflow dispatch will allow me to run it manually and not wait to noon to see if it works or not. And I'll show you in a second how that looks like. Then we're going to go to define the jobs. In this case, we're going to update the README with YouTube. We set up a name. This name can be anything you want. In this case, I think update this repo README with latest videos from YouTube is good enough. I'm going to use the Ubuntu latest machine, and I'm going to use the checkout at v2. That means it is a GitHub action that allows GitHub to clone my repository and use my main branch to make these changes. And we're going to use this specific blog post workflow that was created by this user over here, Gautam Krishnar, and we are going to pass in a little bit of information so that it can work accurately. One is the comment tag name that you saw is YouTube videos list, and then the feed list is going to come from my channel. So I need to pass this URL, and my channel specifically has these things over there. So I'm going to write quit, and then I'm going to say git add YouTube videos. I'm going to say adding automation for YouTube videos, and then I'm going to push it. So now that I've pushed that, if I go and look at my profile on GitHub, instead of saying hi there, if I reload, it says a little bit extra stuff, right? So LinkedIn, it properly populated my YouTube subscribers, which is 43 right now. Not many, but it doesn't matter. It's doing that automatically with the shieldsider.io. But I want this to populate my videos. So every day at noon, this is going to run. It's not noon, it's actually fairly late in the afternoon. So I don't want to wait until tomorrow. So what I do, I click repositories. Well, we can go here. I'm going to click here again. Now I have the GitHub workflows. I can click on actions. And in actions, now I see YouTube videos. What are YouTube videos? This is the workflow name that I set for that YAML file. So if I go to here, you can see that name YouTube videos. This is what will be displayed. So I'm going to go back to my repository. That is what gets populated here. I'm going to click on this one. And it says this workflow has a workflow dispatch event trigger. What that means is that I can click a button and run it. That's all it means. So I'm gonna run the workflow. Yes, I'm going to use the workflow from the branch main. I'm gonna click it. Now, this is going to do the exact same thing that is going to happen every day at noon. So it's going to run, it's running right now, and once it finishes, it should be able to pull everything from my YouTube channel, update the readme.md file, and then update that so that it reflects on my personal site. So it has finished. I'm gonna go back to my profile, and here you don't have any latest YouTube videos. I'm gonna click reload, and there you go. Now we have the last videos that I've worked on: regression, interviewing, career strategy, machine learning for beginners, and setting up your data science environment. So this is pretty neat, and it's setting up the stage for a couple of things. Number one, I'm cross-linking, so I can go to my LinkedIn profiles. If I click here, it takes me to LinkedIn. If I go back, it takes me to my personal website. We've identified that I have a few gaps on my online presence. My personal website is not linking to GitHub, and it's not linking to LinkedIn. It's linking to Twitter. Although Twitter is linking to both, I could do a little bit of better cross-linking. So the first thing is take care of your cross-linking so that your presence is regardless of wherever someone is coming from, they can find you. Number two, you have a consistent messaging that is like, hey, I have an Olympic athlete background. I'm going to use that everywhere. So regardless if you see me on Twitter or on LinkedIn or on GitHub or on YouTube, you will see that the word Olympian or Olympic athlete is there somewhere. That gives you consistency. People can say, oh, that's the person that does X. And you don't need to be an Olympic athlete, but you probably are something that you want to be. In the case, in the story that I was telling in the beginning, you might want to be a DevOps automation specialist. If that's your thing, then automation specialist should be everywhere. And lastly, the thing is to play to your uniqueness or your unique strengths. If you're doing a lot of good work, don't say, hey, I'm doing great work over here. Try to tell what exactly is it that how exactly you're achieving things. So I was talking with someone that had in their resume, they had I love learning new things. Well, that doesn't tell me too much. Like if you tell me like you like learning new things, that's fine, but that sounds very common. Like it's not telling me anything new. However, this person, I think at the end of the short meeting that I had with her, I thought she was incredible. And I'll tell you a few things. She is going to college. After college, she's taking special classes in Python. That's 2. Then she's taking classes in English. That's 3. And then she is also a Microsoft student ambassador. That's 4 things that she's doing at the same time. And then on top of all of that, she has currently she's undergoing through an internship at work, and so that's 5 things. My goodness, like don't say you're a good learner or you like to learn new things. Say all of these things. Hey, like not only like I'm going to school, I'm also trying to learn Python because I like it, and I'm also trying to improve my English because English is my second language. Wow, like that's excellent. So if you put that everywhere, to me, it speaks more than someone that says, oh, I like to learn new things. Don't just tell me what is it that is going on. Tell me how you're accomplishing what you say you are. And that's a far, far more impactful messaging. So impactful messaging with your unique background, cross-linking everywhere, and having a consistent messaging is going to make all of these just resonate better, not only with possible new job positions that you may want, but also with anyone that interacts with you online. And that will make you far more reachable and approachable. So I hope this helps you out and gets you into a better spot.